Ace Podcast.
This is the Super Co-op Squad video game podcast. Bonus episode, Avengers Infinity War review. Welcome to this bonus episode of the Super Co-op Squad video game podcast. Today it's not about games. Today it's about movies. One movie in particular, the Avengers Infinity War. The movie came out, opening weekend has dropped, and we have all watched the film and are ready to talk about the ins and outs, the Easter eggs, and any other eggs, deaths, everything that's going to be going on. Before we hop into this thing though, spoilers, full spoilers. We're talking about everything in this 2 hour and 40-minute movie, so be prepared. If you haven't watched the film, make sure you check it out.
Everything that we can remember.
Obviously, there will be spoilers.
Full spoilers. Okay.
So please be advised.
Yep. All right, let's hop right into this thing. We don't want to waste a second. I'm Johnny Mac, you know that. This is my co-host Garrett Laney.
That is me.
And Joshua Gerard.
But you knew that as well.
All right, so let's hop into this thing. So Avengers Infinity War has come out. Opening weekend has been completed. Going into it, what you guys think? As always, what were your thoughts? Were you hyped? Let's get into that first.
So for me personally, I was moderately hyped. Wasn't crazy hyped going into this. I was interested in seeing where everyone was at after Civil War, and everyone else's third and fifth movie or whatever. So I was more excited to see what has happened than what was going to happen.
Okay, fair enough.
I was hyped beforehand, but I went after work and I saw it late with my dad, and I was more tired, less hyped. So, I wasn't screaming in the movie theater during the movie, but it was pretty good before. It was more chill. The whole theater was chill. Nobody clapped in the beginning when the movie started. Nobody screamed. Everyone just stopped talking.
You're jumping the gun here.
I actually don't like that.
Sorry, is part two the movie going experience?
Yes.
My bad.
I wasn't that hyped up for it. I felt pretty strongly that they had way too many characters. It was just too bloated of a film. I did not know how it was going to work. But I wanted to watch it. Of course, I watched pretty much all of them. So, this one's supposed to be the culmination of everything for the past 10 years or whatever it's supposed to be. So I was interested, but very, very wary.
This is pretty cool, actually. You brought up the 10 years thing. Did you notice that in the Marvel Studios logo, the I and the O was outlined in red?
Yeah.
I thought that was a small thing, but I thought it was cool to
it didn't mean Apple's operating system for iOS?
It did not.
Oh.
All right, so movie-going experience. Josh was already given his.
All right, so let me do it again.
No. So my movie-going experience. So I was initially going to watch this movie in the drive-in, as I watch most of my movies nowadays because I got a little one. My cousin wanted to watch it in theaters. Long story short, it threw off everything. We did actually watch it with him, so I ended up watching the movie in theater. But my gosh, was it hard to get tickets? It was just sold out everywhere. I refuse to watch movies in a regular theater. I will only watch them in a reclining seat as I want to be comfortable for my money.
I agree.
And it was just sold out everywhere. And luckily I did find some tickets, watched it before this podcast. But yeah, it was crazy. And so crazy, in fact, that I'm not sure if you guys looked, but most theaters had movies all day until 2, 3, 4 a.m. in the morning.
Yep. I didn't look, but I imagine so.
That's crazy to think there's a movie that starts at 4 a.m.
Yeah. That's a 3-hour movie.
Yeah. So you'll be done at 7. That's just
when people are waking up.
That's just crazy.
That's the
to
graveyard
me.
shift right there.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good experience though in that theater. I enjoyed it, and it was a good group. Good group.
I incidentally, or I guess non-incidentally, had no issues getting a ticket. I just got lucky, I guess. I was going to an early showing, so that probably had something to do with it.
The 7 a.m. show?
No, 10:40.
When did you buy your ticket?
Friday.
And you watched it Saturday?
And watched it Sunday.
Okay, yeah. Sunday's a little easier to get tickets. Had you tried Friday or Saturday, it'd have been a little bit tougher.
Probably.
Yep.
Would have been gone.
But when I was sitting down, I had my spot. Me, personally, I actually like to watch movies on my own. I like to be able to, and I think before time in the past, Johnny, I've mentioned Because I think you said you like to movies, you know, I'm like, oh no, that's not me. I got to go with my friends or something like that. And it has flipped for me where I actually like having the peace and the solitude.
Yes.
Leave when I want to leave. I can stay and watch the end credits. And if I go see a movie with Angelica, you know, she's up when the credits come on. And I'm like, but there might be something. We're not even watching a Marvel movie, but there might be something.
Right.
You know, so it's nice to be able to just kind of, you know, take my time and show up when I want to show up, leave when I want to leave.
Yeah, I agree very much so.
So I was able to do that, but before the movie, before the trailers, there was a group of 3 sitting to the right of me. And they had a kid, and the kid was kind of loud. He wasn't like running around the theater or anything, but he was talking a lot, and you know, he's a kid, so that's probably going to happen. But he was talking about, you know, how excited he was and the movies, and he's like, oh, is Thor going to be there? You know, kind of thing. So he was excited for the movie, which was nice, but I was worried. I'm like, okay, he is kind of loud though. I really don't want him to be whispering like, what was that? What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of thing to
right.
the people he was with. So, but he was actually very, very well, respected. And when the movie came on, there was silence.
Nice.
So no, you know, I had no issues there.
All right. Yeah, I mean, this movie, like we stated earlier, is the culmination of 10 years, 18 Marvel movie films, this whole entire cinematic universe that they've created and crafted. And this was the beginning of that swan song of this particular arc. You know, it's not going to end, I'm sure of it, of this thing. How did you feel? Like, you know, as far as it being every franchise that they've made into movies brought into one.
I wasn't, I guess, overhyped or anything. Like it's cool. It's, you know, grandiose and everything, but
yeah. You can talk about the movie too, like this specific movie and how you felt.
Right now, I just want to go into, you know, it's been 10 years, 18 something movies, and there are still characters that have not met other characters. You know, to me, that was interesting. I'm like, oh, that's right. Rocket and Thor have never met or something like that. And, you know, Steve, meets, who does he meet for the first time? He meets someone. I forget. Is it? No, I don't, oh yeah. I am Groot. I am Steve Rogers. No, that's right. I'm like, oh, that's right. I've known these guys for, you know, 5 years now, and Rogers is just now meeting him.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a interesting, point of view. But it was nice to see all these mechanics and all these storylines kind of mesh together where everyone had left off on their previous movies, and seeing how the fallout happened and seeing how they're going to continue.
Yeah, I thought they did an excellent job. If you listen to us, the regular podcast, you know that I've talked about a lot that this has so many characters, it's so bloated, and they didn't do the greatest of jobs in Captain America Civil War of balancing all the characters in that. I wouldn't say it was a train wreck, but there were definitely pieces and characters that didn't get their due diligence.
It was no Justice League.
It was no Justice League. No, they didn't drop the ball that bad. But yeah, this movie, they did it. I mean, it was like a magnum opus. They made it where it was like everybody got their due, everybody got their scene, everyone's understanding of what they were doing and why made mostly sense. They made it so all these characters could coexist in this one universe, and they did it because they had built up 10 years of movies. And I know we've talked in the past, or just people in general talked in the past about DC rushing into it. And trying to, you know, have their Justice League too early. But I mean, think about this. It's not even the fact that Marvel took a bunch of solo heroes and put them in the big movie. They took those solo heroes, put them in 2 big movies, and then took that and made it into a bigger team.
Yes, yeah.
Like, not only did you crap on DC trying to make one team, you made a team after building them up, and then built them up, and then made a bigger team.
You made a team of a team.
Yes.
A team out of teams.
Yes. Just that was amazing the way they did that. I left the theater stunned just based on how well they choreographed everything.
Yeah, and what they did, which was really, in my opinion, amazing, not only did everybody get screen time, but they didn't have to introduce the characters' origin stories. Like, if you didn't watch the movies, you just didn't know who they were. So they didn't hold your hand and try to retell a story for almost the majority of these characters. They just assumed you knew who they were. You knew their antics. You knew what they were about. You knew who they knew because of other movies they've been in. You just knew that. That was good to see.
It's great that you bring that, because like near the end of the movie, we still have, people that we know fighting another team of people that we know. And like, well, they're on the same side though. They don't know they're on the same side. They haven't met each other, but just the fact that we have these such big parts and these big pieces that have been on one side of the scale and opposite sides. Now they've come into contact with each other.
Yeah. It was masterfully done. And you know what? The plot made mostly sense. I didn't think they could do it, and they did it. So, I mean, the only thing I had a problem with, it's small, but like, Thanos he wasn't evil enough. Like, he was evil, but like, just a justification, not that it made sense, but like, one could reason it out. Like,
I actually like that about it. I like that he wasn't just world domination. I just need to kill kind of thing. He had a reason for it. He's like, there needs to be balance in the universe.
Yeah. I know. I like that he was balanced. I like that he was a person who was rational, not just a mustache twirling, put this girl on the train track. But it was just some small things with like his leaps in logic. But I guess a Mad Titan would probably have some leaps,
some gaps here and there.
Yeah. So let's just jump in. I thought that the best part of this movie was the dark, gritty tone. So darker, grittier tone than any movie before it. There were real consequences. I mean, right from the first 8 minutes, 2 characters die one of them you really don't expect to die. The Hulk gets the ever-loving crap kicked out of him.
Let him have his fun.
Yeah.
Like, this is the Hulk, man. You better jump in and help out your boy Thanos.
But yeah, I just like the tone that they had where the stakes were high. They felt high. Things felt like people could die. And they made sure you knew people can die and will.
Heimdall.
Yeah, that sucked.
Heimdall. I remember like, cause I had just, before watching Infinity War, I watched all 3 Thor movies. And when I started Ragnarok, I'm like, does Heimdall die in this one? I don't remember. He's a really cool character. I hope he doesn't die. He didn't. Not in that movie.
No, the beginning really set the tone for what the whole entire movie was going to be like.
Yeah.
And you don't really know much about, these other characters. You just see they're there and they're the henchmen and they're here to do some bad stuff. But then Hulk got the crap beat out of him and you're like, oh, that's it.
Loki's dead.
Most likely.
Well, yeah, I don't see him imagining or illusioning his way out of this one. He's Loki, but
I'd say he's 99.9% probably dead.
One thing I actually don't like, and it would have been great had the trailers not done this, but you see the Asgardian arc, that has the culmination of everybody on that ship. It blows up. It gets wiped out. People are gone. Thor, last you saw him, was on there. Had there been no trailers or had a trailer not have shown Thor in any scenes, that could have been really, really impactful. You're like, they just killed Thor. Like, I heard that they were going to kill people in this movie, but in the first 8 minutes, Thor is gone. How impactful that could have been.
Yeah.
I really feel like it sucks. Like, oh, the arc blew up. Oh, well, I haven't seen that part of the trailer yet. So he's still around.
Yeah. And then seeing him in the trailer, like, talking to different characters after that explosion, like you said, he's going to survive.
It robs any kind of emotion that could have been there and could have truly meant something. Could have truly had, the moviegoer like, damn, this movie is serious.
Another good reason why you shouldn't watch too many movie trailers. Just saying.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yep. So I mean, let's break into a couple of characters real quick and then we'll just kind of just get into the review of what we thought overall and just chat about it. But, they still had Iron Man and Captain America be the leaders of their respective groups, Cap on Earth, Iron Man in space, with very different characters than we've seen them with before. So those were the 2 kind of main arcs, and they branch off a little bit. You've got the Guardians of the Galaxy splitting with Thor and stuff, but Cap and Iron Man are still essentially the 2 main groups. So how do you guys, talk about what you guys think about those 2 and kind of how their arcs went?
I like how Captain America was introduced because you don't really know where he's at. And then you see,
Vision and
Scarlet Witch. Yeah. They're in this fight in like London or something. They're just somewhere.
Scotland.
They're on the other side of the world and he just shows up from a shadow like, I'm a badass and I'm about to rip you a new one. So it's nice to see that they're still leading in their own respective way.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very cool thing to have him come out. One problem I actually have, since we'll just talk about some of the characters then that kind of revolve around them in their groups. I really had a problem with Vision. I had a big problem.
He didn't do anything.
Yeah, like they made him so weak. I mean, I get it if like they needed him to have his, you know, his stone stolen, but like the whole time it's like, oh, poor me. Like they've hurt me so bad. You're like a super robot.
We've seen what you can do in 2 previous movies.
Yeah.
You damn near killed Rhodey.
Right.
Like blast these guys.
Yeah. I had a big problem with that. Like, come on, like stop making him this, you know.
He has to be the victim.
Right. But they could have made it something where he was fighting with them. Like maybe, I don't know. They just made it like he couldn't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was just so weak.
You're right.
And it's a little rough. But yeah, I like the way that they introduced Cap and, you know, they brought it back around where, you know, now is a time for him to come out of the shadows because the Earth needs them again. And that's one thing that these people forgot when they were pointing fingers in Captain America's Civil War. Like, well, you did this, all the collateral damage. But you know what? We stopped an alien invasion and another one's happening. Either help us or get out of the freaking way because who else is going to stop them?
Yeah. We need to do our job.
Yeah. Let's do what we're supposed to do. And I like that they brought that up.
Yeah. They actually still tried to arrest him.
Right, he still did try to arrest him.
I'll get right on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I also really like the fact that they made Black Panther and Steve like equals.
Yeah.
Like they were united on this front together. There wasn't one over the other. They were just men at arms, you know.
There was that moment where I know they have a name. Is it still the Chitauri?
Sorry.
Like the aliens.
It's not the Chitauri, yeah. I don't know.
Just alien group.
Yeah, there was some random
the Skrulls.
They were not Skrulls.
They're all at that kind of the border of that dome in front of Wakanda. And, you know, they have their alien generals up there, and then you see 3 of our people go up there. It's Black Panther, Captain America, and I want to say Black Widow.
Black Widow, yeah.
It was cool that even in these kind of times, they tried to be diplomatic. They went up there like, you know, it doesn't have to be this way. And, you know, all he'll get here is bloodshed. And he's like, oh, there's plenty of blood to shed or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it was cool seeing those 3 up there, being that kind of the very leader kind of role. Yeah.
I mean, they definitely are the leaders. Like they had their arc, you know, Scarlet and Vision had their arc. Everybody had like, so even smaller characters. I can't think of her name right now.
Mantis,
but I was talking about, like the honor guard captain for Black Panther.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tribal name.
It's Michonne.
It is Michonne, yes.
Is it actually?
It is Michonne, yes.
Oh, that's cool. I did not know
from
that.
Walking Dead.
Yeah, she looks different with no hair, huh?
A little bit.
Yeah, but like even she had kind of an arc like everybody, Okoye.
That's
her
right.
name.
That's right.
Everybody had something to do, which is really hard with this kind of movie.
And this many people.
The magnitude is just, and you see it because they keep, you know, here we're at this scenario. And I really liked, they didn't have to do it, but they introduce the place that you're in. They're just like, here's this city and here's this area and here's this planet. It's just something very subtle, but it lets you know that the sequence is completely shifting somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And it's a nice break to introduce where you are going.
Well, I feel that's very important for world building because you want to have, even if the name's made up, which, you know, as Thor says, all names are.
I gotta just point out, they stole that from Atlanta. That joke. It's a great joke.
Oh, okay.
But that joke was stolen from Atlanta.
Okay. Yeah. No, I did never watch Atlanta, but I have seen Avengers Infinity War. So maybe they stole it from Thor.
They did.
But it's to me important to have that kind of name your locations where you're at. A, so the audience knows that yes, there has been a shift change. There's a new setting. We're somewhere else now. B, when you don't have just a place that people just show up at, it can make it confusing and maybe not feel as authentic. The world, like, oh, we're just on desert planet now. Oh, now we're on sea planet. You know, where they actually have names. There's now continuity.
Yep. So flip over to the Iron Man kind of arc in space. And we'll go to Thor after that, but
yeah, we had Iron Man, we had Doctor Strange, and stowaway Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah. So I think that was the best little grouping that they had out of the entire like little set.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, just the way that they were a little bit more the comedy part, but the chemistry I felt was just really good between those characters.
Okay.
Yeah, Tony Stark and Stephen Strange, they're very similar characters.
Doctor Strange.
Excuse me. I guess we're using
we're using our made up names.
They're very similar characters as far as their egos and what they believe in, and they're very prideful.
I
in themselves.
don't think that's true at all. I think this movie showed how different they were.
No, as far as when they meet each other, they're like,
I see what you're saying. They're both stubborn. They're both hella stubborn. But there's definitely a different Doctor Strange in this movie than there was in his own movie.
Yeah, in the beginning of his movie, you could say he was Tony Stark. Like, he was hands down Tony Stark. I'm this hotshot, super rich guy. I'm good at what I do.
Look at my watch.
Yeah, but yeah, now, by the end of the Doctor Strange movie, and now he's someone dedicated to what he believes in, and it's not himself, And
it's a cause.
Yeah, and Tony Stark still believes in himself.
Well, I don't know about that either, because Tony Stark definitely puts himself in danger. Like, he put himself in, like, he was so sure, like, I'm going to Thanos. This is a one-way trip. I don't have any plans on coming back. And that's why he was so upset when he saw Spider-Man there also. That was not his intention to bring, this 15-year-old kid, to an alien planet over to, Doomsday Clock.
Yeah. In addition to Pepper calling him as soon as he lands on the ship, and he's just like, well, damn. I gotta take this call.
I'm busted.
You come back off the ship.
Yeah, but to me, that shows Tony Stark is being selfless there.
I could say he's grown a little bit. I think they're still very, very different men. Okay, so Iron Man. I thought they did some really cool things with him with the nanotechnology.
Nanosuit, yep.
I didn't like the suit. Not his Iron Man suit, but the suit he wore to put on his Iron Man suit. It looked like a tracksuit kind of thing or something like that. I was not a fan.
Yeah, it looked kind of weird. I think it was just supposed to be something that he could like wear in public and not appear to be in an Iron Man suit. But it seemed like it was like the not the launch pad, but like the building block for his nano things to build around. Without,
I get it. Just I don't like the look of it.
That's fine.
No, I don't like the concept of it. I didn't like the look.
Yeah, I get you.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. The problem I had was it was less Iron Man and more Blue Beetle. It was very Blue Beetle, and
no, I can't.
Yeah, I mean, he was making like swords and like making these crazy like Tesla guns and like giant cannons. And shields. It was very Blue Beetle, and it didn't ring true to Iron Man being a man in an iron suit. It seemed like more he was wearing some sort of synthetic
alien technology.
Yeah,
the symbiote.
Yeah, symbiote. And it was really cool. Like they did some amazing things with that suit and his combat. Like every time I was like, well, dang, that is sick.
I thought it was really cool when that shield shows up. Like it's a small thing. It's a shield, arm shield, but I'm like, oh, cool. Iron Man has a shield. That's neat.
It was cool. Or like just the different cannons he would make, blowing people away.
Fusing his legs together for that booster.
For
little rocket.
Yeah, it was awesome stuff. It was just, again, a little derivative from another character from a different universe.
I can see that now, yeah.
But I mean, they definitely every time we see Iron Man throughout this entire movie cinematic universe, they find ways to make him better and cooler. And I think that's important for his character specifically because it's so tech heavy.
Yeah.
And because you want it to be cutting edge tech, if they're doing the same thing from previous movies, it's boring. Essentially you could have Captain America fight the same way and he's Cap doing Cap things. You don't expect him to be that different.
Yeah. He'll get a slightly, different suit or something like that. Right. Or maybe now his shield is electromagnetic and hooks onto him or whatever. But I do really like how we see Tony Stark, his suits and his technology evolve from movie to movie. He never once has the same suit.
Yeah, never. So that's pretty cool. Anything else you guys have for old
Stark?
Yep.
Starky Stark?
Not at the moment. You see him later in the movie.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man, I thought, had a pretty good arc. So a couple of heavy hitting jokes.
Yep. He got his suit. Got his new suit that he didn't want in the beginning.
Iron Spider.
Yeah. That was awesome. The way it was implemented, the way they had him just use the additional spider legs. It was great. Now, the only thing I have a problem with Spider-Man, these are nitpicks because the movie was excellent.
Fair. Because it's so good, you can be so critical of it.
Right. Combat wise, they didn't really give him a lot of exciting things to do in any of the fights.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, but I see there's a reason for it. Even in his own movie, he's not, punching, kicking left and right. Most of the time he's using his webs to, like, say that bank robbing incident where, oh, you guys aren't the Avengers.
Yeah.
He uses his webs to maybe like web a hand and make that guy punch himself. I feel that he's not like combat trained, and so he's not going to fight combat trained.
Okay.
At least that's how I see it.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, just still the implementation of the Iron Spider was really cool.
There's that one part where he like gets blown away or something like that, and you see the legs come out and kind of cradle him and to like make a wheel
as he's rolling.
Yeah, and to kind of absorb the impact. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
there's a lot of cool stuff with him in that suit. Even the fact when he's like dodging and fighting when they ran into the Guardians. Even him saving Mantis later, the suit's essentially protecting him. So it's cool to see that implemented in a couple different ways.
I got you. I'm sorry, I can't remember everybody's name.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Pretty good.
So
scene.
relatable too. When you first meet a bunch of people, you don't remember everybody's name.
It's true.
So it's cool that they get it.
Yep. And then the Thor arc. So Thor meets the Guardians of the Galaxy, and they split up and do their thing.
Yeah, Thor gets a new eye.
It's pre-owned.
Yeah, it's underutilized, but
it's refurbished.
It's very subtle, but the eyes are different colors.
Yeah.
I did notice that.
Through the whole movie, I'm surprised they kept up with it.
Yeah. Well, you shouldn't be. If they miss that detail, then they're in trouble.
I was really kind of expecting him to have the eye patch, like that be his new look. But I can see, I don't know, marketing reasons or whatever, or maybe they just felt they need to have that character whole. I don't know if there's a story comic reason why he needs to have two eyes or something like that. Does somehow that eye become it's a fake eye, so he shouldn't be able to see through it, but are they going to find a way?
I think it was like a cybernetic eye.
Oh, but then it just works as soon as you plug it into your socket. Like it attaches to some type of cell.
That's right, because there's that instant where he puts it on and he goes, I think it's not working. It's still dark, and Rocket replies that it's not the eye. It's where they're at.
Yeah, it was like a cybernetic.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, he should have watched.
I think that was the worst arc as far as like the chemistry between characters. It was really funny with Thor calling him Rabbit all the time, but just there was not really much for Rocket to do in that scene.
Groot didn't do anything besides play a game.
Yeah, Groot wasn't there for anything, so it was just Thor and accomplices.
I absolutely see what you're saying. They weren't my least favorite. To me, my least favorite group might have been either Tony Stark's group or Captain America's group, just because Captain America kind of shows up with his group or as a group later on in the movie, where it's kind of late. It's Captain America. He really we'll get to him later. But Thor is probably one of my top favorite characters. Rocket Raccoon obviously is my favorite. If you've been listening to us for a while, Rocket's one of my favorites. So that group to me was enjoyable. I do see there not being any chemistry there. That was pretty plain that they had nothing to talk about. They had nothing to do. Most of the time Thor's talking about his loss. I mean, Rocket's loss had some loss too, but he didn't even come up to like, I've also been through some things. He didn't try to
relate, empathize.
Yeah, exactly. Empathize with it. He was just kind of more like, okay.
Yes, I've stuff happened to me too. And one thing I don't think you really realized during the movie is, Thor is essentially broken at that point to where he's brought to tears. But he was very close to that, immediately before, because Ragnarok, like this takes place immediately after Ragnarok ends. So he's already broken and he's already destroyed his home planet, saved all of his people, and then they all die immediately after, and then his brother gets killed. And now he's just like, I want revenge, but he can't control his emotion because he's just, all this stuff has just happened to him, and everything that he's lived for is pretty much gone now, and he doesn't know how to essentially bring that out. This
is the point. This is what he should have been for me in Thor Ragnarok. We should have had that change in his emotions. We never saw him grieve for his lost worthiness. We never saw him grieve. We went over this before, but quickly, like that would have been something I would have loved to see as well in Thor Ragnarok. If he'd have been brought low, redeemed himself, and then now this movie be brought even lower to again redeem himself, would have been a lot more impactful. Not that this wasn't impactful, because it was. He did have a redeeming arc.
I agree.
Yeah, but I think Thor had a pretty good part to play. Like they really showed his loss. They really showed him having to work and strive to overcome it, which was really, I thought, really good.
Yeah, and we saw Peter Dinklage as a giant dwarf.
Yeah, so that was very ironic.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny too.
Yeah.
To have a real life dwarf play a giant dwarf in this film.
I mean, the Marvel Universe loves them some Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, they do. They definitely do. Yeah, I mean, his cameo was fine. I don't think there was anything great there. It wasn't bad.
No, I do actually like, cause it does have more explanation than he creates a new weapon for Thor, is that, Thanos came to him to create the gauntlet. And he's like, oh, if you make this gauntlet, your people will be spared and they'll save it or whatever. And, Theory, I think his name, Idiri, something along those lines. Mm-hmm. Peter Dinklage's character, the dwarf, plays, or does makes the gauntlet, and Thanos kills his people anyway, leaving him alive, but turning his hands to stone or metal, saying that these are only for me.
He encased his hands in metal.
Okay.
Is what
Either way, he can't use his hands.
His hands are gone.
Man can't eat.
Right? How's he been alive this whole time?
Dwarf stuff.
Right? Who knows? Yeah, it was an interesting little plot twist. I mean, I kind of saw it coming that someone had to make the gauntlet. But okay, let's get into the hammer.
So I thought it was weird
that
he already had the mold. They just needed to get the liquid for it.
Well, he needed the metal.
Well, yeah, but he already had a mold ready. He knew that he was going to make a Stormbreaker hammer.
Well, I don't know if it was that. I think it was a weapon they already had ready to go that they could have made. They talked about the weapon not for Thor, but a weapon for the gods. And so it could have been crafted for anyone.
Yeah, it just so happened that Thor needed it now.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I can see how it was definitely the plot being used, this thing being used to further the plot without any reason for why it's there.
MacGuffin? A
MacGuffin's a power thing.
Okay.
A MacGuffin's this sacred stone of infinite ability.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But
the Stormbreaker.
Yeah, yeah. Stormbreaker's a MacGuffin. Yes, the Infinity Stones are MacGuffins.
Gotcha.
But I thought that was just brilliant, bringing Stormbreaker, which essentially it's Mjolnir from an alternate universe.
That's neat.
It's almost Beta Ray Bill's, weapon.
Man, I wish we saw Beta Ray Bill.
Well, I mean, we kind of see him in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. You see a stone head of him.
Because he lost to Hulk.
I thought it was really cool in that it can also be used as, or it can also use the Bifrost.
Yeah.
So now Thor can teleport.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, which is important now that Heimdall's dead.
Right? Someone needs to be able to do it.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that they're like, we need a handle. And Groot's just like, I'll just give you my arm.
I liked it. It gave Groot something to do. It wasn't crazy cool, but it was cool.
A very small but noticeable, evolution in his character. He was so, did not care.
Typical teen.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that part when they're put down the hand. I was like, I am Groot.
What language? Right?
It's like a kid with an attitude.
I was straight dying in the theater. The way that they could take those 3 words and then make it mean something totally different.
So many different things.
I am Groot.
Speaking of which, Thor being able to speak Groot.
Yeah, I think that's actually canon in the Marvel universe.
Oh,
too.
Really? That's cool.
A couple different people.
I went to a school for.
It was an elective.
Oh man! All right, so
that was cool.
Moving into kind of the ending scene, we're getting to several big battles. A la, I think honestly, Star Wars is one of the franchises that kind of kickstarted that, where there were several different battles going on all at once. We see it in Star Wars. New Hope, we see it Return of the Jedi, where you've got 3 different kind of battles going on. In this one, you've got 2. But everything ramped up really heavily, with Captain America fighting and his group fighting hordes of alien monsters, and Iron Man's group trying to take down Thanos.
Yeah, just trying to get that gauntlet. Not even defeat him. They just want the gauntlet.
Right.
Which one you want to talk about first?
Whatever one you want.
I think this All this happened because one ignorant person decided not to stick with the plan. And it was Star-Lord.
And reading, on the internet and everything, a lot of people on the internet are upset with not Star-Lord, Chris Pratt for playing Star-Lord, and having his character do that.
How is that Chris Pratt's fault?
Because he played the character. Johnny, internet people. That's all.
I will say it's unfair for it to, I think personally, to have put that on his character that way to make him the reason why everyone died. That's just I think that's a big flaw that they didn't have to put on him. They could have had it just be Thanos whipping booty.
Yeah. But they almost freaking had it too.
Yeah. But you know what's ironic? When they are in the room with the Collector and Drax is losing his mind because Thanos killed his family, Star-Lord's the one to try to stop Drax from going past that edge. And when it's Star-Lord's turn to get held back, he doesn't hold back.
Well, his girl died.
Well, yeah. So like he didn't understand because he wasn't in it.
Yeah.
And it's ironic that, now that he's in it, like, He couldn't resist.
Yeah,
that's actually definitely a fair thing to think about. Yeah, it's a good point.
There's just so much little things, from everything from just the teamwork to they actually, Spider-Man used a lot of his web slinging action to try to stop Thanos, and he's ripping off like web off his eye.
Magic punch.
Yeah, they did a really good job creating chemistry with that fight in particular. And them just utilizing everyone's powers in really cool ways.
Yeah, Mantis being able to kind of subdue Thanos for a limited amount of time, but being able to. I thought that was really cool. I did not expect her to be in the fight, but then she teleports above him, grabs on and subdues him.
And he's trying to fight through, and you can see it in his face. He's grimacing. He's just like he doesn't want to tell the truth.
Yeah,
he's trying to fight out at the same time.
Yeah, it was masterfully done with that fight. And what I like a lot is that they took both fights and they made them very, very different type of fights. That's 1 on like 5 or something. And then we got the other side with Captain America's group, and they're fighting hordes of people. There's a lot of small battles within that, with people fighting 1-on-1 against like Proxima Midnight versus Scarlet Witch and Black Widow and Okoye. Yeah, her name's Proxima Midnight.
Alien girl. To me, honestly, Widowmaker.
Fair enough.
Right.
And I like just the difference in that fight. I would have preferred a more, I don't know, fair fight, like having trillions of these like alien monsters, which is like, come on, like no matter what, just Captain America and Black Panther and his crew can't fight a million guys.
It took Thor to stop most of them.
Yeah, it did.
That was cool though.
It was.
It was a one-man army.
I think one of my favorite parts, just because it just shows attention to detail, was when they finally decide, we need to just engage them in combat, because if they surround us, they are gonna break through. We can't contain them. So they charge, and I love that they showed Black Panther and Captain America, boom, just take off.
Sprint in front of everybody else.
Yeah, faster than anybody, and just go into battle with their superhuman ability. And that was just, thank you for making sure to point out the fact that they are superhuman.
They're leaders.
They're different.
Yeah,
that too.
I mean, they're leaders, but they have more physical ability times 10 than anybody else, where they can't keep up.
I was taking it the other way. That is that they're making sure to put themselves on the line before their people.
Yeah, that's
kind of thing.
That's a great point as well.
But I thought that was really smart, actually, to have it be to make that opening and just like, let them in. We'll fight them here. They cannot go around. And turns out, they had secret people over there anyway.
Right. Yeah. Corvus Glaive got in there no matter what.
Sure.
That's his name.
Reinhardt.
Yeah. And then you're like, okay, we're going to take all these machines and we're just going to go underground, because you go under the ground and the barrier is useless.
I'm actually surprised there's not a barrier in not a dome shape, but a bubble shape. Like I would imagine Wakanda would have had it around, even in, below the surface.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, there's a flaw in your system.
Not anymore. Sure, we'll take care of that.
Well, I mean,
right?
I don't think they could have ever anticipated these giant metal space discs coming down.
I didn't.
Well, no, but also you would think that's. I think if you have a dome over your city kind of thing, it would be easy to think, oh, what if they just dig underneath?
Yeah, but can the dome go through like physical objects like that? Like it was cutting everything in half, right? That went through it. So would it have been able to like go through the ground without destroying everything?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
Fair.
there's no way to know. I mean, it's just.
But I mean, and that even with that logic, could the dome even like we're getting into this in a superhero movie, but the dome itself, even it resting on top of the ground, wouldn't it have burned through the ground?
I mean, maybe there is going to be a little burn, but if it stops like at the ground, sure the ground burns, but no one could go under it still.
Well, what I'm saying is that then the dome shouldn't have been up for nearly a day,
right?
Or something. It would just constantly keep sinking, and now taking buildings with it.
Right.
Maybe there's a piece of metal under that encases it, holds it like a base.
Maybe some vibranium, maybe something like that.
Maybe.
But I thought it was cool that they had the aliens or the monsters like try to chip through the dome, and then slice, and eventually some of them just continue to break through. So I think it was a cool little thing. We're just like, hey, we got an endless army here. It's not going to stop us.
So, one thing I was thinking about was the Incredible Hulk. Now, they made a point to bench him.
Oh my gosh. I'll just say it right now. I did not like how he was very underutilized in this movie. As far as Hulk, I guess, being scared from getting his ass whooped by Thanos, that he didn't want to come out. But I did like how they showed his face, like Banner's just turning green in certain moments. He's like, ah!
You're embarrassing me in front of the wizard.
I actually like that arc. I think it gives Hulk somewhere to go, and it establishes a relationship between Bruce and the Hulk. And you never see that in the previous films. It's one or the other. It's the man or the monster. It's the monster wanting to take over. It's the man trying to restrain him. And now you have a situation where the man needs the monster, and the monster doesn't want to work with him for whatever reasons. It could be because he got beat. It could be,
I was a little confused on that. I mean, I know, John, you like a lot of things not to be so, spoon fed and clear, but for me in that instance, I would like to know why Hulk is refusing to come out. Not that Banner can't bring him out, but Hulk is deciding,
fighting,
I don't want to.
Yeah, I can definitely see that they could have maybe given a couple more breadcrumbs to get to that point, but I think it was good that they didn't just explain it away, because if they did, then the next movie, what would you have for them to work out? So now they got to work it out, and that'll be, I'm sure, a pretty large chunk of that next film.
Fair enough.
I really enjoyed that they did that. I would have maybe liked to see him a little more, yes, but.
Was anyone else expecting the Hulk to bust out of the Hulk Buster? Like Bruce Banner's him. Or is Bruce Banner, and then you see him getting angry, and that the size of the Hulk rips through the Hulk.
I was
Buster.
waiting for it. I was hoping. It was ironic that the Hulk is in the Hulk Buster, though.
It's like being the Hulk, but not.
And falling on your face.
I was fairly certain they weren't going to bring him out once I saw him in the Hulk Buster suit, because in the trailers, I assumed it was Iron Man in the Hulk Buster.
As did I.
So, but once he was in there, I knew we weren't going to see Hulk anymore.
But on that note, when you see his face out of the Hulk Buster helmet, the CG looks weird. It really does.
It looked a little bit off. Yeah. I can agree with that. So the ending there, they're fighting this battle. Thanos ends up whipping up on Iron Man's team, goes down to Cap's team, handles them with like nothing now that he has 5 out of the 6 stones.
Doctor Strange just hands it over.
I enjoyed that thoroughly when he actually came down to Earth, and he's using almost each of the stones to, half of them, I guess you could say, just knock each and every one of them out.
Yeah, they stood literally no chance against him.
And it's interesting how the Power Stone is utilized in different ways throughout the movie. Because you have these, actual, physical force. Then you have just this wave of power. You have him exploding the ship just by sheer will. So it's interesting to see how that stone is utilized.
Yeah. We never see him really use the Soul Stone much.
I think that'll have a main purpose in the next film.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. After the movie, I was kind of thinking, I'm like, okay, I know Doctor Strange already says if it comes down to you or the kid or the stone, I'm picking the stone. You need to know that kind of thing. And then he proceeds to then bargain with Thanos, saying, spare, Stark, I'll give you the stone. And he does. And so it took me a while to think, why the sudden change of heart? Because he didn't really think about it. Then I got to thinking he did run 14 million something scenarios, and all the ones
605
of all the ones that and only one succeeded. I assume the one that succeeded involved him getting the time stone.
Yeah, I wish you said talking about like spoon feeding or breadcrumbs. I wish it had given us a few less breadcrumbs there. Because that for sure is like, this is the only way it could happen. And he says that later on afterwards. He's like, why? Why would you give him the stone? And Doctor Strange, as he's like fading away to death, he says, Tony, this was the only way.
He said that there was no other way.
Right. So this is the one reality in which this is what has to happen to win. And even at the end, before that, he says, now we're in the end game. Now we're in the point where there's no coming back. Like, we either succeed or we fail. So that's essentially what happened. And there's no way that can't be.
Yeah. Cause the path that is now going forward could be the unwritten path that could be failure.
Well, no, so far, I think it has to get, so far, him saying like, there's no other way or this is the only way. This path that we have just seen is the way to success because there's only one. So this can't be failure so far.
So far, yeah, but it could be failure because
unfortunately, no one else knows the game plan, so no one else knows what they have to do. Like, Tony doesn't know what he needs to do for it to succeed, but I assume that the biggest point in, having the one successful scenario is giving Thanos the stone.
I agree.
So, yeah.
So it was interesting. I really love that fight between Iron Man and Thanos. Just really throwing everything at him, and then as he's about to get hit, part of his suit comes back. He brings up the shield, then he brings up it wasn't like a sword or a gun, and then he shields his face, and the face gets ripped off. So he's just going at him, and he's not hesitating, which shows a lot of Tony's character, because he even mentions that for years he was haunted by the attack on New York. And now he's actually confronted with the person that orchestrated that attack, and he showed no remorse in trying to fight the person that's been haunting him this whole time, which most people would be scared. They would be nervous. They don't really overcome that fear the first time you run across that person.
It's been a crippling point in a couple of movies, especially I think is Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
That whole New York incident. And for whatever reason, I'm not exactly sure why it impacted him so much. Maybe because he's the one that went out to, took the nuke out into space.
Yeah, he's the one that it's essentially died.
Yeah. So, I mean, that could probably be it. But I mean, everyone was there. No one else is, having panic attacks.
But he was the only one that actually saw them. Like, cause he actually went through the whatever wormhole or whatever.
Yeah. I think it was partly because he did sacrifice his life to throw that nuke out there. He did go into space, but also remember that he's the only one that's not a warrior. You can't count Bruce Banner, right? Because when he does battle, he's literally not in the battle.
Yeah.
So he has none of the post-traumatic stress that might occur because he does not remember any of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas Black Widow, Thor, Captain America, Hawkeye, they're all trained soldiers who fight and have very vast amounts of experience, where he's a rich boy who put on an armor suit,
His superpower is money.
It is. It really is. But also he doesn't know how to deal or cope because he's never had to learn. He never had the experience that comes along with that sort of skill set. He has the skill set because of his technology.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's that too.
Fair.
All right. So we're nearing the end here. Overall thoughts on the film.
Okay. When do we get to talk about the cool stuff and the stuff we liked?
We've been doing that.
All the in between stuff.
Go ahead.
Like, we haven't talked about Gamora at all. We haven't talked about how
just by the sheer fact that we don't have the 2.5 hours the movie did, we're not going to get to everything, but go ahead and talk what you want to talk about.
I mean, I thought it was cool that Red Skull made an appearance as the guardian of the Soul Stone.
I had to double take on that one. I'm like, is that Hugo Weaving?
I don't know if it was Hugo Weaving or not.
I'm sure it was.
It was.
It had to have been.
But I didn't really care about Red Skull being there.
I thought it was a cool little nod. And he even makes a note that, I was in search for the stones too, and essentially he was chosen to live in solitude to guard the Soul Stone. And what I really liked about Thanos as a villain in this movie is you actually get to see a different side than just the villain side. You get to see what could be taken as, humanity, where, he cries because he has to give up his daughter to attract one of the stones. He tortures his other, stepdaughter and Nebula to try to figure out where the Soul Stone is. I really like how they use the Reality Stone, because as soon as Gamora stabs him, I was like, no, it's a Reality Stone. Like, I just knew it. They try to tease it where they manipulate it, and just the different arcs you see as Thanos. Like, Thanos got a lot of screen time. Johnny, you were talking about in previous movies that he's underutilized. He's a pointless character. He doesn't mean anything because you don't know anything about him, and they throw a lot of him in this movie.
Building on the that scene where he has to sacrifice Gamora actually kind of, and it's weird because I know it shouldn't, or maybe, you know, it doesn't make sense, but like I felt something there. Like I wasn't tearing up exactly, but I felt like he actually really does care about her. He does love her in his own way. But he does not want to do this, but he has to. And he mentions because, you know, not many people have the will to do what needs to be done kind of thing. And he's on this self-imposed, you know, journey that he needs to balance the world. And, you know, there's too much life, and that could be too much life brings destruction is what he's saying. You know, whether that's because resources run out, food run out, you know, wars or whatever his actual reasoning is, his solution is to get rid of a lot of people.
Yeah, because he went through it before, and he warned some people, like, hey, we need to fix this issue because otherwise we're just going to bring destruction on ourselves. And it happened, so he told himself, you know, no matter the cost, I'll never let it happen again. Yeah,
and he was willing to sacrifice his favorite daughter.
Mm-hmm. The one he stole.
Yep.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. And I think maybe there's maybe one last thing to talk about, and that is the disintegrating, the
end game.
Yeah, the disappearing of everybody.
Thanks, Thor. You missed his head.
Meant nothing to me. It meant nothing. We already have Black Panther 2 in the works. We've already got, you know, all these other movies coming. Like, I'm seeing people's reactions, and I'm hearing stories like, oh, guy passed out to the ending of Infinity War. And I'm like, am I missing something? You guys know they're not dead.
I think you might be missing something.
I have to be.
You are. So the first thing is, I think you're right, though. I think most of this is not going to be consequential. Obviously, they're going to find some way to reset. They can't kill all those people. They can't.
By the way, I'm going to be that guy. No more Black Avengers. All of them. Gone.
War Machine's there.
Dead.
So War Machine didn't die.
We don't know.
Disintegrate?
No, he did not. He stood there.
Where was he?
He was
looking. He was looking for. Okay. Oh, we got one. We got one.
Yeah, they did kill. They
all right,
did
my
kill
bad.
3.
Sorry.
Well, if you got something, go ahead. But
So what I heard just looking at other like spoiler stuff, all the original Avengers didn't die.
Yeah, the original ones are there.
Yeah, including Rhodey. Almost everybody else after the original Avengers died.
Yep.
Which is pretty
okay. What am I missing, please, so I can have feels?
Yeah. So the first thing is you're not wrong. They are mostly going to come back. They're not going to kill all those people. The second thing you're missing is the time gap. So remember that this particular movie takes place a minimum of 2 years after the end of Civil War, because Hulk has been gone. I'm sorry, Age of Ultron. So because
Sokovia, which brought Civil War.
Yeah, and Hulk was gone for
where Spider-Man came in.
So this movie takes place a minimum of 2 years after that.
Okay.
Which means it probably doesn't take place right after Civil War. It probably takes place sometime in the future. Because at the end of Civil War, that's when Cap and his crew kind of go off and he saves them, they escape. We know that at least 1 year has passed since that point in time. He's had time to grow a beard. He's like, all these things have taken place. So there has been some time, which means there's plenty of, and we know that Black Panther took place directly after Civil War, which means there's time for Black Panther 2 to take place before this particular movie does so.
Okay.
So that's part of it. And then people that know about this, like, we all knew that most people were going to die. We knew Thanos was going to win with Thanos. We knew he was going to win. And we have a pretty good inkling that somehow the Avengers are going to come back and win. And, you know, with the Reality Stone, you can rewrite reality, which essentially is rewriting, you know, you can essentially do a reset like Justice League is good, or they're going to try to do with Flash. With Flashpoint, right? You can essentially do a reset. You can bring everybody back to life with the Soul Stone and create your own reality with the Reality Stone. So
I don't think that's how the Reality Stone works on its own. From what I saw in that movie, it seemed to be temporary. He wasn't able to make someone stay a brick or stay string or whatever.
Yeah, when he left,
things went back to normal.
Which I was actually kind of surprised. I thought Drax was done. Like, he was in pieces and everything. Mantis,
both those were Easter eggs to comics, which was pretty cool.
Which is why I feel that with just the stone alone, you couldn't make it so that reality stayed that way. Now, with all the stones, maybe he could, which is why he killed everybody. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna find some way to manipulate time, or
Yeah.
there will be a reset that's gonna be built into this second movie for sure.
I don't know. I'm still not getting it. I'm still not getting, because there's like people devastated.
Well,
They probably don't know like how the sequences really play out.
What are you confused? I don't see what you're confused on.
Like I'm not getting the feeling. I'm not getting
dead?
I'm not like, well, I see that they're dead, but to me, there's no consequence.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't, because they are going to come back for sure. There's no question. Most of them, maybe someone will perma die, but most of them are going to come back.
Gamora, probably. Maybe.
She'll come back.
There's a Guardians of the Galaxy 3, so she'll be back.
But again, keep
Problem
in mind
solved.
that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 could take place
Between Civil War and Infinity War.
Exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, there's no real consequence as of yet. I thought, especially the way they died, it was not impactful.
That's one thing I hated. I hated that it was just, okay, we got 3 seconds and they're gone. It wasn't, there was no like heavy hitting music. There was no like, there was just, I'm gone.
I like that
Dust in the wind.
I liked it because I mean, you don't have, I liked it how there was no music, because it just happens. Like everyone's just like, they're so like stuck in awe, like what's happening. Like they can't even process what's happening to them. That with the exception of Nick Fury, but like they're just so confused that like it's already too late.
Mother.
With the exception of Spider-Man, I think they had to flesh him out because there was an attachment.
Spider-Man's the only one that got to me, and people have a couple of theories on why his was so different. Everyone else, it came up as a surprise. It's just Steve. Disintegrates, disappears, but for Spider-Man, it was like, I don't feel good. Something's wrong. Something, I don't want to go. I'm not ready.
It's probably that Spidey sense.
A lot of people are suggesting it's the Spider sense that kind of, gave him the awareness and the feeling, and that, he is going to be, disintegrating. He's going to be gone. That's probably the closest one that got me kind of feeling something, because of that kind of relationship that he and Stark have. It kind of made it feel like something, but they actually took the time to do it. With everyone else, with Black Panther, with Bucky, with Falcon, it meant nothing to me.
Everything else was meaningless.
Yeah, right? And I did not like that feeling. I would have much rather have had seeing characters be impacted by this, seeing them break down like, I just lost my best friend. I mean, Captain America's broken many laws to rescue Bucky for various reasons, and Bucky is gone. He's not frozen in time. He's not lost. He's not waiting to be found. He's gone. He's disintegrated. And even Rogers, we don't see him. Maybe he does, but we don't see him break down and just go, what?
Well, okay, I got a couple things on that. The first thing is, it's just not impactful. There's too many deaths for that to have happened, for them to have, each of them have 20 seconds or 30 seconds of death. But I think had it been something where it was like a violent death, like when Tony Stark, Iron Man, got stabbed, I thought he was going to die. I'm like, okay, like, well, crap, like, oh my God, he's about to die.
Yeah.
Like, I felt it, because that was the moment where, okay, it's very singular. But this wasn't singular. This was half the universe. And so I don't think that they would have all reacted that way, but some did. Like Okoye, she acted very like, my king is gone. Like, oh my God. Like, Rhodey was like, Sam, where are you? Like, what is going on? Like, a few of them did, but those who knew what was really going on, those who we expected kind of be leaders, they got the bigger picture and were just stunned in the silence, right? Like, half the people on Earth are dead. Like,
yeah,
that would make me not be like, no, whoever. So, oh my God, I'd be like, my God, like Tony, Captain America did that. He was like, my God, like he was like picking up the dirt on the ground. Like the whole world just got cut in half.
And like, I get that, but I guess it's just not what I wanted. It's less impactful to me. Like I can see how it's a general reaction or an authentic reaction of just them realizing what happened, and that it's not just my friend is gone. It's billions of people are dead. That would stun anybody. That would set some people back. That would take some people back. But I don't know. I guess I just wanted more for like, yeah, billions of people are dead, but this one's the one I cared about. This one's the one that meant something to me. I wanted something more than just.
Well, I mean, who did you want that from? Because it sounds like you want it just from Captain America.
That's just the one that comes to mind the most. But
because everyone else did react that way. Okoye acted that way when Black Panther died.
All we got out of Rhodey was, Sam, where are you?
Well, but he was screaming like, Sam, where are you? Sam, like,
and then I heard one time.
And then afterwards, he was like, what is going on? Like, he was distraught. Or Scarlet Witch, she was distraught, But the true soldiers and the leaders, like, well, I mean, she's not gonna have emotion, but Black Widow, she's not gonna have emotion. That's just not who she is. She's a super spy. But Steve Rogers, he cared about Bucky. Yeah, he cared about Sam. But more importantly, he cared about the world. He cared about everybody. So for him, what's more impactful, losing his friend right now or the fact that the whole world is suffering? Like, for him, that's a big loss, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it. You're making sense. I'm not disputing that. It's not what I want.
Yeah, it's fine. Guess. That's fair. It's your heart. Anything else? Anything else you want to chat about?
I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens because, I like Thanos' comment to Thor. He's like, you should have aimed for the head. And then he snaps his fingers and the screen goes black. I was like, oh, it's the meme I saw. It's over.
Screen went white.
Or, sorry. Excuse me. White. We got to get the colors right. And then the gauntlet's all destroyed.
Yeah, that was interesting to me. The stone seemed fine, but the gauntlet looks pretty messed up. And they do still work because Thanos used the space stone to teleport back to probably Titan. I assume his planet.
Good half a Titan?
I think he was using the reality stone to make it look how it used to be. He was in the serene place. It wasn't desolated, but he had said after I snap my fingers, take care of the population or whatever, I'm going to go back and look at the sunset or something like that.
So what his planet used to look like?
That's what I feel. I think
we did a glimpse of that when he was talking to Tony.
Yeah. When he was expositioning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got that. Are we going to the very last credit thing or very...
I mean,
we can go over it. Yeah,
do that. Yeah. Talk about Stanley's cameo appearance.
That was at the very beginning of the movie.
One of the worst ones he's ever had.
You think so?
As the bus driver,
it wasn't a good one. Yeah,
it was funny because we're like, he's there, but yeah, it was very.
I mean, it wasn't like impactful. Not very many of them are.
It wasn't funny like some of the other ones have been.
Nah.
I don't know where you would have put him anywhere else in the movie.
Yeah, there would have been nowhere else. I get that. I do understand.
They had to get his cameo out of the way.
I still really feel they should have had him in any movie as like a janitor or something. I think people were talking about this at Age of Ultron, where like he's cleaning up the Avengers building or whatever, and then Thor and Mjolnir's on a table or something like that, and he picks it up and wipes down the table, puts it back down. I would just love for that to be a cameo.
That'd be cool.
But he doesn't know what it is. He's just like, oh, something's in the way. Let me get that.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. So Stanley, that's the beginning of the movie. If I remember, I think there were two. Were there two end credits?
No, there's one.
There's just the one.
And enter Johnny's excitement.
Yeah, I mean, I already knew Captain Marvel was going to be a character, like the movie. But yes, I was very excited to see that she is going to have her own movie, and she is most definitely now going to be a part of the second part of this movie.
So as I mentioned, when I was in theater, there was a group of 3 sitting to the right of me. And, like the main guy, I guess, or whatever you want to say, not the kid, not the girl he was with, but, the guy. He's like, what? Who is that? Who is that? And I'm just like, even I know.
Wow.
But yeah, he didn't know. But yeah, Captain Marvel, not to be confused with Miss Marvel, is shaping up to make her debut.
Yeah. One thing that stands out to me for this next film is they still have a lot on the table that we didn't see. We're going to see Captain Marvel. We're going to see Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yep.
Yeah,
Hawkeye's going to come back. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot of new additions to bring on after just wiping out a ton of people, And that's not to say
Venom's going to be a debut.
That's not to say there could be more. There could be more that they bring in, but that's 4 heroes for sure that are going to be in this film that weren't in it this time. And that's really cool.
So if I'm not mistaken, part 2 is next year?
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. Honestly, I feel that's soon.
Yeah.
Like
soon. And then we'll see if your $20 bet is laid to rest or not.
We'll see.
It will not be called Avengers 4.
That wasn't that what I was going with?
No,
that was
you
mine.
were arguing that it's not the fourth Avengers.
Yeah, that's what it is. I was arguing that it's not the fourth movie. You're arguing that part 2 is Avengers 4.
No, I'm not.
Okay. We got to go back now because I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
It's the opposite.
I feel that there's
You've been calling it Avengers 4.
Absolutely not, because I never felt that way. I've never felt that part 2 is Avengers 4.
Johnny, I think you said part 2 is not the fourth Avengers film.
It won't be called Avengers 4.
I feel he did say that. I feel he said that part 2 is Avengers 4.
No, Avengers 1 is Avengers 1. Avengers Age of Ultron is Avengers 2. Avengers Infinity War is 3, and then
it's a two-parter, so it's still 3. It's still 3. Yes, that's what I believe.
Yeah, no, it's not.
So one of us switched.
It's the fourth one.
No, I wouldn't.
We'll have to go back to the archives.
All right. Anyway,
it's an older episode. I don't know how we're gonna figure it out.
We'll probably get an email on it.
Yeah, someone help us out, please.
Hit us up.
All right. So you guys got anything else before we move on to the overall thoughts for the end of the movie?
I don't like how Nick Fury died.
He died like everybody else.
Kind of like it. I mean, the whole mother.
I mean, I like how he did it, but I would have liked him to stay alive. But you do get to see in that moment in the credits that because the world is slowly, getting wiped out, like planes are falling out the sky, cars are just running into poles because no one's manning them anymore because they just disappear. So you get to see that early destruction on what's going to happen across the world.
You'd have a lot of religious people freaking out right now.
I didn't get chosen.
A lot of, yeah.
You didn't want to be.
Yes, the bad true. Part of that.
All right. So overall thoughts on the film?
Very enjoyable. I did like it. I think before, I don't know, even still maybe after your explanation of them disintegrating and disappearing, I didn't feel it was as amazing as everyone made it out to be. It was a fun film.
Wow.
It was a fun film. I did enjoy it. Absolutely will buy it. And looking forward to part 2, but it wasn't this just, this is everybody. This is Avengers. It didn't have that for me.
Yeah, I'll disagree, but, it actually, exceeded my expectations, mainly because and this is what you were talking about before, Johnny. How are we going to put 20 plus different characters in the big screen all somewhat at the same time? And I think they did a very good job. They did an excellent job making sure that everybody got screen time. They got to put it to their characters still.
You guys see that really old movie, Aliens?
Oh my God. It irks me when he says these things.
No more pop culture from you.
Like stuff like that. Like he made the Star Wars reference in Civil War. And I was like, what is he going to do?
Is Footloose still the greatest movie ever? It was never the greatest movie.
Just stuff like that. I think certain moments they tried too hard in some of the jokes, and other ones they knocked it out of the park really well. So I don't know for me if this is the best one yet. It's up there. It's either this or.
Yeah, I agree with Joshua Garrett. I think that this movie was a phenomenal film that they put a lot of effort into. And here's the thing. Here's the thing that really stands out to me is they had to have dedicated so much time to creating the script, to making it all line up, to not having, I mean, if you watch, we'll all watch it again. I actually have to go to the theater, watch with my pops. Nice. But this film had no wasted screen time. Or very little of it. There was no fluff. There was no additional stuff. Everything that happened, all the words said was needed. Even just getting characters to meet each other and making it realistic somewhat and not kill each other, but also fight kind of. Like scripting that was a challenge. And they met that challenge and exceeded all my expectations.
No, I do agree with that. It's a fantastic movie. It's great. It's a marvel of a movie.
He did it.
And yet it does take a lot of time and work to carefully place lines where they need to be placed, characters where they need to be placed, making sure everything fits. And there's as little, discontinuity.
Yeah. I mean, you got to keep it as close to canon as possible because you have all these movies that you have to keep their storyline still intact to their characters and then mix that with another 20 characters.
Yeah.
And keep it all in the same timeline.
Yeah, I think they did all that very well. And I think the hardest thing as well was to make this an enjoyable film, a fun film, and to make it have consequences. And I do understand what you mean by saying that you didn't feel the way that those characters died was an impactful thing to you, but that's still gutsy to kill all those characters.
Absolutely, yeah, and maybe I do need to look at it more of that way. That yeah, for the time being, Black Panther's gone, Spider-Man is gone, Vision, he's not disintegrated, but he's gone.
He's decommissioned. I mean, you could probably go the majority of the part 2 without any of those characters.
No, they're gonna have to probably.
That's what I mean. So now you're working with a completely different cast.
They'll bring them back, or some of them. But here's the thing: we don't know that for sure.
You're right,
because most people went into this movie thinking what Captain America or Tony Stark's going to die.
Absolutely,
neither of them died, and they wiped off half their roster.
Everybody else.
They killed Heimdall. They killed Loki.
There's only 10 seats at the Avengers Tower. Yeah. You know, how do you fit more people?
Right.
You get 10 more chairs. You kill 10 of them.
Yeah, they
killed three
they murdered a bunch of people. Like Vision is essentially murdered. I mean, I'm sure they'll do some wizardry with their technology and bring them back.
Tony Stark and Mark Ruffalo, Bruce Banner are still alive. So, although Tony Stark he's stranded on Titan, that's got to be scary.
Well, maybe. I actually don't think they're stranded. I mean, I don't see why Doctor Strange just can't ring sling a portal back to Earth.
Because he died.
Oh, you're right. He did.
I mean, he's
got just there with Nebula. You're right.
Yeah. I mean,
is Nebula there?
She's there.
Yeah.
For sure. She didn't.
Okay.
They
didn't show her. So, I mean, she probably has a ship because how'd she get there?
Okay. Then Tony Stark has a way off.
Yeah. Or his suit might still be intact. He could just.
I'm sure
the face thing is ripped. Unless it's like nano stuff.
I'm sure
it can recreate itself.
Yeah, I'm sure it can.
Okay.
All right. So what are we ranking these? What's our ranking?
Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Okay.
You made it to the team.
You barely made it. You barely made it.
Right.
You
get dubbed on the mission.
You're a roadie. You're on call. You're Spider-Man. You're on call.
Tony's promotes Spider-Man. You're an Avenger now. Congratulations.
Or you're a dead Vision, grayed out, hulking a husk on the ground.
All right.
So I'll start. So this film is phenomenal. I think it hit on all fronts. Everything about the movie from point A to Z was what it needed to be. In my opinion, it couldn't have been a better film than it was. There's nitpicks, small things like Vision should have been more of a fighter, could have been more involved, and they didn't make him that. That's a small thing though, but I went in with some hesitancy and I left thinking this is one of the greatest films that they couldn't make it any better to me. Like they made it what it needed to be, and this is a culmination of 10 years of movies, and no one's ever done it before, and I don't know if they can ever do it again, but it did something that's never been done.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. And I loved how, each character got a good amount of time in, some more than others, but they didn't really leave anybody hanging. Even things like Ant-Man, they had mentioned that, he's not around. He's off somewhere doing something else. And you don't really hear much about Hawkeye, but he's still around doing something.
He's on house arrest. Both of them.
Right? Oh, yeah, that's right. He is on house arrest, huh?
You thought it was a joke?
Yeah, I don't remember. And I love how Thanos was really fleshed out as a character. Just a lot of the stuff that they did, they showed him. I didn't mention it earlier, but, in the beginning, when he's on the ship after he kills Heimdall, he's getting praised by his dude, gets his armor taken off like he's Squidward. He's like upgrading essentially, and he's getting his powerful armor, aka the glove, plus 99 stats. You don't need any armor. You can be naked pretty much. But phenomenal movie. I definitely want to see it again while it's still in the theater once, all the hype dies down. And I'm curious to see where this lands in the overall box office too.
It'll be the highest selling movie of all time in nearly every category.
But how soon? Maybe it'll hit $1 billion this weekend.
It's already done 630 million globally. So yeah, it's going to take less than a week for them to get $1 billion.
I think I saw a stat that said Justice League, like that's what it did after like everything, after like months. Did it in a week.
I didn't hear. Did either of you give your rating?
Oh,
Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Okay. All right. So then it's up to me, huh?
Yeah.
You on that iffy train?
I am on the iffy train. Don't get me wrong. It was a great movie. It was a lot of fun. It had the characters, the way I wanted to see them. It had, plot points that were important and integral, and it was a fun movie. But part of me is just sad. I guess I mentioned it. The last 10 minutes of the movie, the way that Avengers were just being wiped out left and right, and it didn't. I didn't feel anything from it. Like, I felt nothing. The way it was happening meant nothing to me. Though, John, you did point out that, it's a bold move. It absolutely is. And, we still have to continue part 2, whether they're coming back or not. We do have to continue without them, until further notice. They're on the bench right now, but it was not to steal your word, it was phenomenal. It was a marvel of a movie. But, it just didn't hit me the way that I see other people are hitting it. And I feel kind of cheated maybe that I'm not getting the same experience. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but
I think one thing that would have made it more impactful with those deaths was it would have been fine to have everyone disintegrate. Like, he snaps his fingers, they disintegrate. But it would have been impactful for all those people that he did kill back on Earth with the disintegration, Sam and Black Panther and, whoever, if he would have actually killed them, like ripped someone in half or burned someone to ashes like that. And then, and then Thor comes and tries to kill him, and then he snaps his fingers and a bunch of people disintegrate.
Yeah.
But those guys, he personally just rendered them nothing. And so, I mean, essentially it's the same thing, right? They still died.
Yes. Yeah. But I guess I'm just disappointed or unfulfilled in the way that they died.
Yeah. Like if we would have seen like Sam, like try to run up with his Uzis and shoot him and like had his hands like grabbed like a kid and like, like a stuffed animal in one hand of Thanos, and he just burns his face off kind of thing.
Yeah. That would have been, okay. That's what I'm looking
right.
for. I guess my disappointment just is really in the way that they were dispatched, if you will.
I could see that.
Come down. Still a Disney film, Gary.
Well, I mean, they showed Loki get choked to death.
Yeah.
That being said, really did enjoy this movie. A lot of fun. So if I have to give it a rating, I am going to give it Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Now, remember, that means it's like, nearly a perfect movie, like 9, 10.
And it was for the last 10 minutes for me. Personally, everyone else is having the experience I want, but I didn't get it. But
so it would be cool if Thanos snapped his fingers, the screen went white, and did a credit roll. That's where you stop it.
You know what? No, because there still has to be. I still have to see out of our main characters who's gone. Maybe if it like flash forward to some sort of obituary or funeral kind of thing, they just have pictures of them or something like that.
Mass Effect 2 style.
But yeah, that would have been fine.
The Guardians of the Galaxy got wrecked, by the way. Only one is alive. Rocky Raccoon. Everybody else died. Quill died. Yeah. Mantis died. Drax died. Gamora died.
The
Groot
tree
died.
Yeah.
The tree? Did you just call him the tree?
So if Groot disintegrates, does that mean the handle on Stormbreaker disintegrates?
I mean,
I
technically,
guess,
yeah.
I mean, unless he chopped a part of him off, so it's no longer connected to him.
That might be it.
Maybe
it might be because now that's on Stormbreaker. There's magical properties or something like that.
Yep.
Any of that. But is Thor gone?
No, he's fine.
Okay,
He didn't disintegrate.
All right, I'm fine then. I'm happy.
All right, guys.
Rocket and Thor made it.
Rocket
That's all that matters to me.
All right, guys. Well, that is our show I hope you enjoyed our review of Avengers Infinity War. We all thoroughly enjoyed the film and are eagerly awaiting the next one. We do have a Deadpool 2 to look forward to, so we'll be watching that and most likely doing a review. We'll see. Before we get out of here, guys, make sure you chat with us and let us know how you like the movie. Email contact@scspodcast.net or on Twitter @SuperCoopSquad. And if you want to chat with us individually, you may do so as well. You can find me at JohnnyMac24.
You can find me at GJL3275.
And is I, Joshua _4_life.
All right, guys. As always, I'm Johnny Mac.
Oh, we're using our fake names?
No, we're using our made-up names.
Okay. I'm Dr. Garrett.
I'm Super Redhead Guy.
We'll see you guys next time.
Nice to see you again, Super Redhead Guy.